Trump's crusade of conspiratorial revenge has shifted into an even higher gear this week as he has revoked the security clearances of two of his former employees that he now considers to be treasonous. So this is Chris Krebs, former leader of the CISA, and Miles Taylor, formerly of the DHS, and the guy who very famously wrote that anonymous expose of what it was like in the Trump administration. So he didn't just revoke their clearances though. He has taken, put out an order for the DOJ, which is historically supposed to be independent, and saying now I want you to investigate these guys who could very well end up behind bars for disagreeing with the president years ago. Take a look.
Terrible guy.
Similarly, sir, Christopher Krebs, the former head of CISA. This is a man who weaponized his position against free speech in the election context, in the context of COVID-19, and further instructs your Department of Justice, other aspects of your government, to investigate some of the malign acts that he participated in while he was still head of CISA.
This is another one. I don't know that I met him. I'm sure I met him, but I didn't know him. And he came out right after the election, which was a rigged election. A badly rigged election.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I know that it hurts your feelings. I know that you will go to your grave whining and complaining and pretending to believe that you won in 2020, but you didn't. And it doesn't matter what you do from this point. It's never gonna change. It doesn't matter how much power you grab, how much you destroy the remaining shreds of our constitutional republic, no matter how much you acquire the authoritarian dictatorial power that you want, and do these witch hunts against your former employees, accusing them of treason, maybe locking them up for saying things that you don't like. Again, the nonstop fascistic cancel culture of the right. You still lost, buddy, and you know it. Even your supporters know it. And before we move on, we're gonna get to more of him talking about this guy because it's gonna make it look even worse. I love that once again, he has to have that bozo tell him what the bill is about. Why do you have to have it explained to you? Didn't you determine that? Didn't you write it? Aren't you in charge? You're not Sleepy Joe, right? You're not just signing off on the auto pen of the things that they do. But what I love about it is he does need to be told what's in it because he is that disconnected. But he also has he doesn't want to look at the guy who's telling him what's going on because he knows that would make it obvious that he's learning something. So he does the even weaker thing, which is he just looks away. I can't, if I acknowledge him that it's too clear that he's teaching me something right now, so I'm gonna look away. No, that's not lost on me. I can see every one of these weird hidden beta moves of his. But anyway, there was more to it, so let's jump into a little bit more video.
This guy Krebs was saying, oh, the election was great, it was great. Well, it's been proven that it was not only not great, when you look at all these lawyers and law firms that are signing, giving us hundreds of millions of dollars, it was proven by so many different ways and so many different forms, from the legislatures not approving to the 51 intelligence agents that worked from all of the different scamming operations. It was a very corrupt election. They used COVID to cheat. And we're going to find out about this guy too, because this guy's a wise guy. He said, we've been proved this is the most secure election in the history of our country. Now, this was a disaster.
Yeah, this is a disaster. This is an absolute disaster. And once again, he's doing exactly what we said he would do. Again, the DOJ is supposed to be independent. You know how independent it normally is? Frustratingly so. What did we complain about over the last 4 years? That the DOJ wasn't doing anything about the crimes that Donald Trump committed in public, that we all know that he committed. And Biden wouldn't tell them to investigate it and just waited and waited and wait. That's how independent, frustratingly so. We didn't even get justice because of how overly it needed to be independent or whatever. No, now it's just, it's his personal lawyers. And he says, hey, here's some guys that insulted me 6 years ago or whatever. I want you to investigate them. We're saying that they committed treason. I want you to lock them up, okay? This is petty tin pot dictator BS. That's all this is. This is what he's spending his time on, by the way. As he crashes the economy and continues to do that, he is now further criminalizing speech that he doesn't like. And most on the right are just gonna cheer this because again, it was never about free speech. It was never about the First Amendment. They're not free speech radicals. They want their free speech in the specific area of being able to say, the R word and the N word and stuff like that, and not be criticized. But if you disagree with them, if you say, for instance, stop killing Palestinian kids, they want you deported to a Salvadoran prison. They want you to be shanked somewhere in the shadows. And if you speak out and say an inconvenient but true thing like the election was secure and it wasn't actually stolen, you could end up in prison specifically for your speech that the government does not approve of. Okay, that is the right's actual position on free speech. It's for me to use racial slurs. It's not for you to be protected from imprisonment for pointing out something that the dictator doesn't want heard. And thankfully, there are some people pointing this out, attacking him. Tim Miller, host of the Bulwark podcast, says this is madness. Chris Krebs was a public servant, a GOP appointee, which he was, who did his job ensuring the 2020 election was secure. Any person who reveres our constitutional republic should speak out against it. And some people are, because they do. None of them on Fox News. None of them really on the right. Nobody on the independent right is gonna do that. They want dear leader to start cracking down on dissent. They want it out of the media. They want it out of the administration, out of the bureaucracy. They don't want it. You get locked up, you get deported if you say something they don't like. That's their approach to free speech. And by the way, let's move to Sarah Matthews. Sarah Matthews was Trump's own former deputy press secretary who resigned after the insurrection. She said, before the election, I warned repeatedly that Trump would go after those he saw as political enemies. Now he's targeting a public servant who simply did his job and told the truth about the 2020 election being secure because it doesn't fit with his lies. That's his former deputy press secretary. And again, she left after the insurrection, which is good. You get some credit for that. Also, that means she stuck around until the insurrection. She was still his employee after he lost the election and after he'd been telling lies about it being stolen or whatever. That's how loyal to Trump she was. And even she can point out now how utterly fascistic this is, how the clear weaponization of our DOJ. And Krebs, as far as I know, at least as of when we're recording this, he hasn't actually said anything about this investigation. He's probably talking with his lawyers because he's probably very worried that he's gonna be locked up for the rest of his life. But Miles Taylor, formerly of the DHS, did say this: I said this would happen. Dissent isn't unlawful. It certainly isn't treasonous. America is headed down a dark path. Never has a man so inelegantly proved another man's point. And Trump is proving all of these points, the points that Miles Taylor made years ago in that op-ed, the points that we and other responsible people in media have been making about who Donald Trump is, what his movement is, what they want the United States government to become, and it's becoming that every single day. If you enjoyed that, then make sure that you never miss another video by subscribing. And if you want a little more, consider hitting the join button and becoming a member. So you're probably wondering, why would I do that? Well, when you do that, you get access to bonus content that I make every single week, and it's a lot of fun. You get custom emojis and more. If you join at tier 3, by the way, you even get access to a monthly member hangout with myself. And you'll get all that going forward, but you'll also unlock years of the back catalog that is literally 100 or more bonus clips and top 10 lists and debates and more. So what are you waiting for?